Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? Wow, welcome to another edition of We On That AZZ News. And ladies and gentlemen, has a research crew delivered? Yes, they have. They delivered like it's Christmas, but it's still July, or I think it's August now. I'm losing track of time. See, that's what happens when you work too hard. Anyway, guys, I got a crazy story for you. What makes this story so interesting is this occurred in the same jail that Stephen Stearns is currently housed in. Now, before we get started, I have to say this is a We On That AZZ news segment. We are covering the news that occurred across the world when it deals with these Petey-files and others. Lastly, we do not condone violence. Never, ever, ever, ever do we condone violence or mob justice, okay? And thirdly, if that's even a word, this material is made for adults only, so viewer discretion is advised. So in Palm Coast, Carl Westgate, 19 years old, passed away in prison 7 weeks after sentence for, well, do I have to read it or can you read it? Yes, that type of assault. This is unbelievable, right? But this is crazy because this is the same jail that Stephen Stearns is currently incarcerated in. You know, the researcher was able to get me the letter that this guy wrote to officials requesting protective custody. But you know what Florida told them? Florida said, "Oh, no, sirree, you gonna stay in population," and that was his demise. So let's read a little bit of what this guy did. We're gonna heavily edit it. We have to because this is a YouTube. But I gotta tell you, this is some really sick stuff. So Carl Westgate, 19-year-old Palm Coast resident, sentenced last summer to 25 years in prison for emming an 11-year-old. Wow. Female. Died in prison 48 days after his incarceration and 5 weeks after writing a Flagler County judge to say that his plea had been coerced and that he wanted his case reopened. He wanted to go back to county jail, guys. He did not want to go to state prison, which is where he was at. He was in a state reception center because he took the plea and he was trying to find his way to his home jail, but he never made it, ladies and gentlemen. He never made it.
Oh my God!
Let's keep going. Nothing was done by the court system or the public defender's office, which had defended Westgate. After receiving his letter, Reginald Nannoli, his public defender, was shocked to learn of his death from a reporter and had to take a moment to collect herself before addressing matters related to the case when asked about it earlier this week. Westgate was sentenced by Circuit Judge J. David Walsh last May 14th. Until then, he had spent 221 days at the Flagler County Jail. Time that was credited to his sentence. He was then sent through the Florida prison system. Let's do it one more time.
Oh my God!
Oh man, you know what you need when you go there. Jesus. Let's keep going. He was sent through the Florida prison system, ending up in the East Unit of Appalachia Correctional Institution, a 1,322-bed prison for minimum and medium security inmates off of I-10 just to the west of Tallahassee. Now, what I don't understand, guys, how does a guy convicted of a felony on that level automatically out the gate has minimum and medium status? Now, that's different than the system of New York State where I worked in. In New York State, you would have to start out at max for what he did to that girl. But unfortunately in Florida, I guess they're like, oh, you know what? It's not a violent crime against adults. It's just against the kid. So let's send him to a medium and a minimum. Yeah, right. He should have been a max prison. But anyway, let's keep going. The Department of Corrections records his death as taking place on July 16th or 3 days before his 20th birthday. Man, they gave him a birthday gift to remember.
Does that make sense?
Wow, he'll never forget that birthday.
Does that make sense?
Let's keep going. Probation officials informed the Flagler court on August 14th that he had passed away. They call it prison justice, Daniel Westgate wrote Flagler Live. He was a dead man the minute they sentenced him. Now, somebody said that his father, I'm saying somebody says, the research crew, they said that his daddy had gotten in trouble too for doing similar things to his son, but we'll try and get back into that after we finish this article. Prison officials would not detail anything surrounding his death. The Florida Department of Corrections Office of Inspector General is proactively working with FDLE to provide investigatory assistance. The Department of Corrections Communications Office wrote Flagler in an email. The department will employ all available resources to ensure that a thorough investigation is completed. As this is an open and active criminal investigation, this is all the information available at this time. You know, those inmates are not snitching. Their mouths are shut. I'd be surprised if they ever found out what happened to this guy. I'd be surprised if they even cared.
Does that make sense?
Because those investigators may not care.
Does that make sense?
Oh, but let's keep going. But a week after the initial publication of the argument, that would be unethical. They should care because their job is to investigate. But I just wanted to add that. You know what I mean?
Does that make sense?
Okay, let's keep going. But a week after the initial publication of this article, a prison official said that although the medical examiner's report has not yet been released, it is not entirely accurate to say that he was killed, but rather that he died while incarcerated. The implication is that Westgate took his own being. Interesting. Then Westgate, his father, and Westgate's sister, however, say that Daniel had received letters from his son saying that his life was being repeatedly threatened. That in his last letter, he said he asked to be placed in protected custody. The request was denied.
Oh, hell no.
Was rebuffed. He said, no. That's what they said to him. Westgate was convicted on a series of ex-crimes resulting from his relationship with a 11. Wow. A young person. 11 young. I don't even know how to say it without YouTube coming with the hammer down on me, but you guys know what I'm saying. That entailed his sending her lewd pictures of himself, coercing her into sending unclothed pictures of herself, and subsequently visiting her at her home and graping in her bedroom. He continued to grape even as the victim tried to push him off and complained of pain. What an animal. Inmates serving sentences for ex-crimes against the youngins, particularly very immature, are at a notorious high risk to be themselves the victims of violence or schmurder by other inmates who rank ex-abuse against youngins the lowest rung of the prison hierarchy, along with snitches. Last November, William Dillow, a 27-year-old man serving a 45-year for graping two young ones, his girlfriend's daughters, was murdered at Jefferson Correctional Institution and a 1,179 inmate prison in Monticello, just east of Tallahassee. The girlfriend, Rhonda Wilkerson, is serving 50 years. That means that she participated in that stuff, man. On Wednesday, Waldemar Rivera, a 38-year-old Palm Coast man. Whoa. They got a whole list of dudes. Just like in the last couple of weeks. Stephen Stearns, you better watch your back.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man, they're not playing out there in Florida. They're headhunting, man. Let's keep going. A 30-year-old Palm Coast man was found guilty in Franklin County Circuit Court of doing another bad thing to a 13-year-old 2 years earlier. He is to be sentenced on April 26th at a hearing when individuals on both sides of the issue may address the court to ask either for a harsher or more lenient sentence. For ex-offenders, however, the length of the sentence may not affect their tenuous fate as they enter the prison system. We're going to be reading his letter in just a second. Let's finish this off. According to the Department of Corrections, 40 inmates have been victims of homicides between 2010 and 2015 in Florida prisons, not including some 300 pending cases. The homicides are not explained. Westgate had a troubled life before his final incarceration. He'd been charged with burglary, theft, and fraud in 2 years before his arrest on ex-crimes. He was sentenced to wholesale to 5 years for burglary, 5 years for grand theft, 15 years for dealing in stolen property, 25 years for lewd and lascivious molestation, and 5 years for transmitting lewd material to a young one, 15 years for use of a young one in a performance, and 25 years for lewd and lascivious against a young person, followed by life on ex-offender probation and a designation as a ex-predator. On June 6, Westgate Judge Walsh wrote, he claimed that since his incarceration in Appalachia, I was not been able to contact my public defender or family to get any legal materials or do any casework or start an appeal in my case. I would like to withdraw my plea and go fully through trial. I have reason of insufficient counsel. I have a wrong sentence. I was coerced into my plea. An inmate had tendered a plea may under various circumstances do what Westgate was requesting even after being sentenced. So Stearns can actually withdraw his plea too. Could have been out after serving 80% of his sentence in early 2035. when he would have been 40, still young enough to have a life. Boo hoo hoo hoo. So sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, your life, my friend, was
dirt under the bridge.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and read the letter, man. Let's see what we got with the letter. So this is the letter that he wrote. Let's see can we zoom in on this bad boy? Let me see. Can we zoom in? Yeah. Dear Judge Walsh, June 6, 2020, was it 2025 or 2015? I don't know. I can't read his handwriting. Hi, my case was case number 2015-00178 CFFA. It looks like 2 Fs, or CPPA, with the violation of cases 2013, blah, 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 blah. He's listing on his cases. I was, let's go closer, sentenced to all counts on May 14th, 2015, in front of you. Christina something as my public defender, Regina Nunnally. I was moved to Central Florida Reception Center on May 29th, 2015. And since I've been here, I have not been able to contact my public defender or family to get any legal materials or do any case materials starting an appeal for my case. I would like to withdraw my plea and go fully through trial. I have reason of inefficient on counsel. I have a wrongful sentence and was coerced into taking my plea. Told that it was the best option for me, but didn't something. I think he said, but didn't believe so. Officers have denied my access to the law library, so I wrote Christina Opsa and Regina Nullity, also letting them know the situation and what I plan on file for an appeal. Thank you for your time. That's the letter that he wrote. And this is the young man who is no more. Let's see here. Corrections Offender Network. This is him. This is his picture. These are all the various charges that he did. He's really a monster. And so, this world wasn't for him, However it ended, hopefully it ended peacefully. Let me get out of here before I get in trouble. I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.